Alright guys, welcome back to another update. Devlog number 14 on Knights of Elementium. It's been a while, so we're going to cover quite a bit in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, we've got a Metroidvania map, and the way that this works is it just reveals the map as you traverse the fog. So let's just run over here through all this stuff, and you can see that the map is updating with the player's movement. Another little feature that rings to a lot of games like Zelda and Dark Souls is that there is a illusory wall feature. So right up here, this is the first example of a secret wall in the game, and I just wanted to go ahead and show that for a brief moment right there. Over here in this little cave is a good place to show how the player collider interacts with the walls now. And we can see that the map is mostly full because this is just the playground that I've been running around in while I make all the game features. You can see that we've got our guy Barabbas laying here. He's still pissed drunk as usual. He's got a dialogue system. If you press E on him, you'll get this placeholder dialogue, and he will give you these dialogue options. It's important to note that some dialogue options will not be available unless you read the lore tidbit. Before I re-recorded this video just now, the "you know what, you're totally right, man" was blacked out with question marks, so you know that the dialogue option's there, and you know you need to find a lore tidbit to unlock it. But basically, it was like a scroll that dropped, and I right-clicked it, and it updated the lore, and now you have that dialogue option open for Barabbas, and there will be a lot of dialogue options in the game that are only unlockable dialogue options. You will have to actually seek out the lore in order to get these dialogue options. You can see in the top left, next to the player's spells that he has up here, next to the earth ball and the water healing, that there is a combat log. You can see that the fire blast dealt 11 damage to him, the melee attack dealt 21 damage to him. You can see it subtracting based off of his armor. And this feature will also show you the items that are dropped. We did not get an item drop right there, so I'm just going to kill him again real quick so that we get an item drop. I did not program him to drop an item 100% of the time. Okay, so he's not deciding to drop any of his items. But the combat log will show you the items that drop from him. That way it's like you could just look at it and see, okay, something happened. That takes us to our next section, the monster log. In the recording that I made before this recording, which I scrapped obviously because my big head was in the way of the top left of the screen, he dropped the Shattered Ornament, and this little loot table in the monster log shows you all of the loot, kind of like Atlas loot from World of Warcraft, except you have to discover the loot before it shows it to you. So it gives a sense of discovery. Also, the lore tidbits for Barabbas will not have been there unless we went over and encountered him, and in fact his sprite would have been blacked out and we would not know his fire resistance, etc., etc. Look over here and you can see that the quail's blacked out, but right now I heard a quail. Okay, so we ran into the quail. Up there in the combat log it says monster log updated quail, so if we look in here, now you can see that the quail is visible. And we even have two little things inside of our one second. I just ran into a glitch, which I haven't been able to fix yet, which is sometimes the tooltips go behind the interface, but I'll just reload the game real fast and fix that. You can see that we have lore page quail number 1 and lore page quail number 2. If I right-click quail number 1, you can see that the first lore tidbit updates in the monster log, and if I right-click page number 2, you can see that the second lore tidbit updates in the log. And so you can, for completionist's sake, update all of the lore inside of your monster log, and who knows, maybe there will be a quail mother demigod thing where you need to know things about quail in order to have certain dialogue options with her. I don't know yet. So that should bring us to our next section, which is the stained glass sphere. There has been a new update to the stained glass sphere. If we check this thing out, we can see that there is a piece missing right there. Piece number 9. So piece number 9 is missing, and it just so happens that piece number 9 is the piece that is stuck into the wall right there that you can hear glowing. And so there will be various pieces scattered throughout the world who will not immediately be on your stained glass sphere. They will be blacked out, just like piece number 9 is, for example. And what you'll end up having to do is maybe complete an acrobatic challenge, maybe complete a puzzle, but one way or another, you have to find the stained glass pieces and knock them out of where they are lodged into. So now we can collect the piece, and piece 9 has been collected, and once we go back into our stained glass sphere, we can see that piece 9 is now lit up. And what this does is allows us to have different build pathways throughout the stained glass sphere that otherwise would not have been available to us in this convoluted stained glass talent tree. Another thing that I wanted to go through was some elemental interactions that we have in the game, and as a matter of fact, I should grab this water spell while I'm at it before I show you guys this. So if I run up here, you can see that there's these torches. We have a horizontal combo finisher modification that shoots a little pillar of flame horizontally. It looks like this. And it's perfect for lighting these torches. And you can see that once the torches are in place here, due to their energy being powered by being lit on fire, I have the ability to use a water spell to actually put them out. And so there are going to be all kinds of different little elemental interactions in the game's world that will perhaps unlock a different boss fight, help you find an item, help you find a stained glass piece, help you find a spell tome, etc., lore tidbits, who knows. Another important feature of the game is in the spellbook. You might have seen when I opened it last time that there was a grayed out spell up here, and this grayed out spell is the Fireball. Well, the Fireball has to be learned through a tome, which we conveniently have placed in our inventory. And if we right-click to learn Fireball, it will show in our combat log that we have learned spell Fireball. And when we go into our spellbook, we will now be able to choose the Fireball as a spell. And this is how it looks. You can see that the elemental interaction it has with the grass is to create embers, and that's just for a visual flair at the moment. There may at some point be special items that drop from the grass if you light it on fire, like charred grass or whatever. Who knows what it's going to be. And the Fireball does a decent amount of damage to Barabbas. You can see that it does 41 damage. Pretty decent right now. Maybe it's a little overpowered. And now you can see the combat log is showing that he dropped his Shattered Ornament. Another thing to go over is the gear aesthetic system, which is probably the most exciting portion of this video. We've got a green iron helm, green iron leggings, green iron shoulders, green iron sabatons, gauntlets, a green iron sword, and we have the green iron breastplate still in our inventory over there. And slowly, I have been creating the animations for all of these gear pieces. This is going to be the first gear set that is in the game that is going to set the precedent, the coding, the animation standard for all of the other equipment items in the game. So let's start looking at it. Here's our helm. Here's our shoulders. And you can see that once we gain earth dominance from all the earth stats that this gear gives us, our cloak becomes green. And you can see that the earth expression adds plus 10% earth damage to any earth damage that you deal to enemies, and subtracts 10% from all earth damage that you take. So let's put on the rest of the gear. And the sword. So this is how the first armor set is looking on the character. This is one of the only animations that I have made for the armor set right now. You can see that another one is the running, but you can see as I turn around that the gear like breaks, and if I attack it doesn't follow, etc., etc. So right now the only animations that work for this green iron armor are the idle, the long idle, and the running, the basic running animation. But we are getting the gear aesthetic system underway. And then I think there's one more thing that I wanted to show you, which I'm reminded by this recipe copper bar, is that the crafting table also has its own set of recipes that you have to learn before you can craft things. So for example, if you click something that you can't craft yet, it'll say learn this recipe to craft it. If I right click this copper bar, you can see in the combat log it updates learned recipe copper bar, and we see this copper bar icon light up in the crafting system. And now if I have the right materials, which it says I need sharp stone and crystalline dust, if you don't have it in your inventory, but then you open your storage, it will show the materials that you have in your storage available for it. And we can start crafting some copper bars. So I think that that's it for this update. We've covered the Metroidvania map. We've covered the dialogue system. We've covered the combat log. We've covered the monster log. We've covered the spell book, the elemental interactions, the stained glass sphere update, and finally the gear aesthetic system, which I'm currently working on right now. And I'm thinking for all of these other animations that I have, all the crouching, all the attacking, all the spell casting and channeling, etc., it's probably going to take me like 2 to 3 months to finish all of the gear animations, but who knows? I think that the running animation was probably a pretty difficult one, and that's why it took me about a week and a half just to make that one. And now that I have the angles ready on those sprites, I'll probably be able to make the next animations more quickly, and maybe it'll just take 1 to 2 months or something like that. Who knows? We'll have to see in the next update how far I am on the gear aesthetic system. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching the video and supporting Knights of Elementium. I am a solo developer, and it means a lot to me to have your support. We currently do have the like a fledgling website up. If you go to www.knightsofelementium.com, you can see the beginnings of my webpage right there. There's not much for you to enjoy on the website yet, but eventually we'll get things like a traditional gaming forum, etc., etc. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next update.